Hey, what's up, everybody? Julian Montgomery here. You guys, if you've seen any of my other content, you know that I'm a composer, producer, and that I've worked on some small independent films, and I do some sound design for other composers as well. And I use Cubase 13 Pro as my primary DAW, and I've been mixing my own music for years. Recently, though, I've decided I am going to start learning how to mix in Dolby Atmos. And the way that that came about was last year I purchased a new electric vehicle, a Lucid Air Touring. And that car has a sound system that is fully Dolby Atmos. And so, I'd never really listened to music in Dolby Atmos before, but when I got that car, I got a 3-month trial membership with Tidal, Hi-Fi Plus membership. So I set up a little playlist with, a bunch of Dolby Atmos soundtrack music, and listening into my car, it was amazing. I never really heard music in an immersive way before. And so throughout the year, I just kept thinking about, man, I wonder how they do this. And I would love to hear some of my own music mixed in Dolby Atmos. So I made it my plan for this year that I was going to release some music in Dolby Atmos. I had never looked into it. I didn't know what it was all about. And I made an assumption that, there was something that I wouldn't be able to do. I'd have to hire somebody to do some mixing for me. And I actually did that. I took one small song. I connected with a guy that I'm connected with on Facebook who mixes in Dolby Atmos. I had him mix this piece of music for me. And while I was researching, how am I going to listen to this? I have no idea how to listen to it. I stumbled across the fact that Cubase actually is fully Dolby Atmos compatible. And that started me down this whole road of, man, I wonder if I could, start learning how to mix in Dolby Atmos. So I started researching that more and came to the conclusion, man, that's going to be my objective here in 2024. I already had a goal that I was going to release music in 2024 in Dolby Atmos, but now it's going to be music that I mix myself. So that started me down this whole path. So now I figured, I've been learning this for a while. I've been digging into it, and I wanted to start sharing a series of videos that just kind of go along my journey of learning how to mix in Dolby Atmos. So this is the first one. And I'm just going to kind of introduce you guys into what I've been doing and how I've been going about getting started learning Dolby Atmos. So of course, YouTube, that's one of my primary go-to platforms. And there's a lot of content out there on Dolby Atmos mixing, a lot of tips and tricks. There's 2 YouTube accounts that I've been drawn to that I use a lot. One is Alex Pro Mix, that's Alex Solanos. This dude is huge in the Dolby Atmos. I see him everywhere. And he does a really good job of just kind of sharing a little bit of his thought process as he's doing different mixes. And then another account that I use is Michael G. Wagner. He does a really good job of showing different plugins and different things that are of interest to people who are into immersive audio. Michael also has a Discord server. I joined that server and have been able to ask some questions. I haven't really contributed much because I'm in more of an early learning stage, but I've been able to ask some questions and people have been very helpful in sharing their thoughts. Dolby also has a lot of learning content. So I started a course that Dolby offers specific to music. And they have a bunch of videos and things that you can watch and, some good content for people who are kind of getting started in this. And then I started taking my existing stereo mixes and mixing them in Dolby Atmos. And that's been a really good exploration and way to start learning what works for me, what I think sounds good, what doesn't sound good. And then one of the biggest things is I've been able to arrange to do listening sessions at John Witt Chapman's studio. His studio is fully Dolby Atmos, And, obviously you have to rent time at his studio, but I've been able to go there and listen to my mixes and kind of get a feel for what I think works and what doesn't work, listening to it on speakers. While I'm at home mixing, I'm using headphones, mixing in what's called binaural. Um, and so that's it's a good way to start out. And if you don't have a full Dolby Atmos setup, it's a good way to kind of get into it. But you got to reference your mixes in a real Dolby Atmos environment with the speakers, and at least a 7.1.4 setup. So that's what going to John Chapman's studio is allowing me to do. I've also purchased several immersive plugins, and I shouldn't say purchase. One of the ones I realized I already have. I just didn't know it was immersive. So that's FabFilter's Pro R2. I'll pull that up here. So yeah, this is a really nice immersive plugin. You can see it has, I have this on the 7.1.2 channel right now. It has all these features of being able to tilt different aspects of your settings to the front or the rear. You can kind of control, if you don't want any going to the LFE or how much you want to go to center or the top, you can control your crossfeed. And in FabFilter's plugins, they're really, really nicely done, nice visual presentation. You can really do a lot of adjustments to either the decay, based on frequencies, or EQing the reverb. There's a lot that you can do in here. So this has been a great one to kind of start exploring in an immersive way. Another plugin that I have is Altiverb 8. That's been a reverb. That's been really my favorite reverb since I got it many, many years ago. And since I already had it, I upgraded it to Altiverb 8 XL. So here is Altiverb 8 XL. And the reason why I upgraded to XL is because that is the Dolby Atmos compatible version of Altiverb. And so, not what I have found is not all of their IRs have been re-recorded or made available in Dolby Atmos, but a lot of them are. They've kind of upgraded the user interface so that you can find reverbs a little bit easier. They have the room here, and you can kind of come to this mixer and choose how much you want to go to different parts of the room. You can change this cloud size so that with cloud size lower or all the way down, that means the reverb is just going to be around the source. With cloud size all the way up, is going to be around the source and the other speakers and anywhere in between. So this has been another good one to kind of start playing around with and learning. Some other plugins that I've gotten have been from Eventide. So Eventide now has a couple immersive plugins. They have Micro Pitch and Black Hole. So Black Hole is one that I've had that for years, and now they just offer that as an immersive plugin. So here's Black Hole. If you're familiar with Black Hole, it's a really interesting approach to reverb. I've used it a lot for when I want just kind of, different reverbs. I don't know how to really explain it, but if I really want just kind of, not a normal impulse response type reverb, I'll use Black Hole a lot of times. And so now this is an immersive version of the plugin that you can have your reverb all around the room or different parts of the room, however you want to do it. And then they also have Micro Pitch, which is a delay plugin, and the user interface is really similar to Black Hole. You can kind of control what parts of the room you wanted to go to. You can detune the delay in different parts of the room. Crossfeed, feedback, those are pretty typical. You can even do this pattern where, if you have it set to self, it'll just kind of crossfeed to all the different speakers based on your given layout. Or you can do rotate left or rotate right, which will make the delay go, to one part of the room, then to the next, and kind of go all the way around your room, left or right. Front, then your sides into your rears, and then keep going around your room, kind of in a pattern like that. That's kind of a cool effect, in certain situations. And then some other ones that I recently bought are from Sound Particles, Energy Panner and Brightness Panner, and they're both just plugins that basically take an interesting approach to panning. So Energy Panner is going to pan based on the energy in the audio that is being fed to it, and it has several different approaches. Several different things that you can do. You can pan, which you kind of go from a point to another point, and there's different ways that you can kind of configure this to do. And then there's sliding, which will kind of go in a trajectory based on how you set up, a kind of a starting and end point. And so I've been kind of exploring this a little bit. I'm still kind of figuring this one out, but it's an interesting plugin that does some interesting panning tricks for you. And Energy Panner and then Brightness Panner, they're both from Sound Particles, and Energy Panner does it based on kind of the energy, whereas Brightness does it based on frequency. So they both pretty much do the same thing, but just one based off of energy and one based off of frequencies. And so those have been kind of new ones to me that I've been kind of playing around with as well. And then some applications that I've purchased. Well, one I already told you, I'm on Cubase 13, and Cubase 13 is fully Dolby Atmos compatible. So you have your beds and objects, you have your renderer, and I'll just kind of pull up the Dolby Atmos renderer. This is what it looks like in Cubase. And then Cubase has this multi-panner that you can use, on each of your tracks to kind of decide where you want to pan the audio. It has a few kind of tools that you can use. You can, and all of this is automatable. So, if you wanted to move a little bit, you can automate some movement. So, it works really well inside of Cubase. But I will say that the Dolby provides a Dolby Atmos renderer, and that provides like a 3D view, and you don't really get a 3D view of all of your objects in Cubase. You get this top-down view. You do get a kind of a nice view of your panning for a specific track, but for your whole piece of music, you only get this top-down view, which I'm not a big fan of. But it works well. But I also do have the Dolby Atmos renderer, and so this is what I'm talking about as far as you get this 3D view. You can view it from a person view or theater view. You can move it around. You can make it bigger. And I wish we had something like this in Cubase. And then another thing that I have is the Dolby Atmos assembler, and this is basically allows you to kind of master your Dolby Atmos mix. And I'm still kind of playing around with this and kind of learning how this works. But my workflow has been so far is to do my mix in Cubase, export an ADM file, pull that ADM file into the assembler, do some finishing touches. You can do some EQ and limiter, kind of like what you would do on your mix bus, and then I'll export out of here my saved or my mastered ADM file, and then since I'm doing this outside of Cubase, I'll pull it up into the renderer and export a binaural mix and an MP4 for listening either in headphones or other devices. I'll play a piece of music here that I'm working on and let you kind of see what it looks like in the renderer here. Let me put on my headphones. So my goal this year is to release one piece of music to start with, because releasing a Dolby Atmos piece of music there's more to it than just a normal stereo piece of music. You have to make sure that you are compliant in the loudness measurements, and there's some other things that you got to make sure of. So I just want to go through the process and make sure that I get everything right. And then a couple years ago, I made a project called CINESCAPES, which was just kind of a short 20-minute project of some cinematic music. I'm going to re-release that project in Dolby Atmos. And then another goal of mine is to do CINESCAPES 2, which would be all new music that is created from the beginning with the mindset that this is going to be released in Dolby Atmos. So those are my 2024 goals. We'll see how that goes. And I'll keep making some more content as I do some more mixes and let you guys, hear kind of what I'm working on. And hopefully you'll go along the journey with me. All right.